The breaking point, the chamber of the Galaxy Council, was carved from shining crystal, floating above a world wrapped in endless rings of fire. For thousands of years, this place had been where laws of the universe were written, where every species bent the knee to unity. But on this day, silence gripped the chamber, a silence so sharp that even the translators hesitated. At the center stood a single human envoy, tall, calm, and unshaken. He did not bow. He did not plead. He only looked at the gathered counselors with steady eyes. Across from him, the counselors whispered in disgust, their scales glinting, their wings twitching, their mandibles clicking. To them, humanity had always been an unruly child in a council of elders, a loud and restless newcomer who dared to question tradition. One counselor finally broke the silence, her voice cold and dripping with contempt. "You come here demanding respect, yet your species spreads chaos across our borders. You refuse tribute, you refuse order. Do you think Earth can stand against the whole galaxy?" The human envoy did not flinch. His voice carried no anger, only certainty. Earth will no longer kneel. The age of council chains is over. As of this moment, humanity withdraws from your authority. All treaties are broken. All ties are cut. We walk our own path. The chamber erupted. Shouts in 100 languages filled the air. Claws slammed against stone tables. Tails lashed in fury. Some laughed in disbelief. Some demanded immediate punishment. Some hissed that this was madness. To walk away from the council was not just rebellion. It was suicide. Yet the human envoy stood like stone, his words echoing. Even through the chaos, you call us reckless, but it is you who betrayed us. When our colonies were attacked, you stood aside. When our fleets cried for aid, you offered silence. When our dead drifted in space, you debated trade routes. We will not forgive, and we will not forget. A counselor with eyes like burning coals leaned forward, his voice a growl. You dare accuse the council. You dare break the order that has held for ages. You think your small fleets and fragile worlds can resist the weight of empires? Humanity will be crushed. The envoy finally allowed himself the smallest of smiles. Perhaps the galaxy has forgotten what humanity truly is. He turned, leaving the chamber without another word. Every step echoed like thunder. Every alien eye followed him with fury and unease. No envoy had ever walked away from the council, not in the history of the stars, behind closed doors. Panic spread among the delegates. What if humanity meant it? What if Earth really dared to defy? But most laughed, calling humans arrogant, calling them children playing with fire. They will come crawling back within a year. One sneered, they will beg for food, beg for protection. Another added, yet far away, beyond the walls of the chamber, humanity was already moving. Fleets were recalled from distant patrols, stations stripped of council symbols, colonies declaring independence, ships bearing the Earth insignia pulled away from council borders. Silent, efficient, unstoppable, merchants closed trade routes. Ambassadors vanished from alien capitals. It was as if a great shadow had fallen, as if humanity had been waiting for this moment all along. Across the galaxy, whispers began. What was Earth planning? Why did they move with such speed? Some claimed humanity had built new weapons. Some claimed their fleets had doubled in secret. Some claimed Earth had allies hidden in the void. Fear spread like wildfire. And in the dark silence of space, where no counselors watched, humanity prepared. The council thought Earth weak, but they did not yet understand. When humanity walked away, the galaxy itself would tremble, and soon all would learn the truth. The breaking point had come, and chaos was about to begin. Asterisk the council divides council chamber did not calm for. Many days after the human envoy walked out, arguments exploded like storms. Some species demanded immediate war. Others urged patience. A few even whispered fear. The chair of the council, an old creature with silver skin, struck the floor with his staff. "Order," he growled, but order did not return. Zensi's clashed in 100 tones. The great alliance of the stars was tearing apart from within. A winged delegate hissed, "Humans are reckless. They must be punished at once. Their colonies seized, their fleets dismantled. Only then will order." "Return?" A scaled delegate shook his head. "Fool, you do not know them. You have not studied their history. You laugh now, but your laughter will choke you." The council froze at his words. Records were summoned. Dusty archives pulled from forgotten vaults. Old wars of Earth were replayed on the holoscreens. Battles of fire, oceans of blood, centuries where humans fought themselves long before. They reached the stars. The chamber grew quiet as images of human wars flashed across the walls. Their weapons had been crude, their numbers small, yet their fury unmatched. Again and again, humans rebuilt. Again and again, they refused surrender. Entire empires on Earth had risen and fallen, but humanity endured. A whisper spread through the chamber. If humans could survive endless wars against themselves, what would they do against outsiders? Yet arrogance was stubborn. Those were old. "Days," one counselor laughed. "This is the age of the council. No single world can defy the galaxy." But doubt grew in the corners. Some remembered how fast Earth adapted to space, how their fleets multiplied in less than 2 centuries, how they bent metals no other species could refine, how they turned barren rocks into breathing worlds. Still, the loudest voices called for punishment. "Strike them now," shouted one. "Show the galaxy no species can walk away from the council and survive." But another voice, low and trembling, cut through. "What if we strike and fail? What if their silence hides a trap?" The thought spread like poison, for even now, rumors flowed across the stars. Human colonies were not falling into chaos as expected. Instead, they were moving in perfect order, fleets withdrawing with discipline, stations stripped clean, orders sealed with precision. Pirates who dared raid abandoned human outposts vanished without trace. Scouts who entered human space never returned. Something was happening in the dark, something none could see. A young counselor stood, her voice shaking. "Perhaps we should speak to them. Perhaps a new treaty can be made." Laughter and anger swallowed her words. Treaty with rebels? With children? No, they must crawl back or be crushed. Yet the divide was clear now. The council was no longer united. Some wanted war. Others wanted silence. Some wanted peace. The chamber that once ruled the galaxy now cracked under its own. Wait. Outside the council walls, news spread like wildfire. Minor empires wondered if they should also break away. Traders whispered of human ships gathering at the edge of known space. Diplomats spoke of messages sent to smaller oppressed species, messages promising protection, promising freedom from council taxes and chains. And in the shadows, small voices listened, races long ignored by the council, races treated as slaves or tools, now looked toward Earth with new eyes. If humans truly walked away, perhaps they could follow. Meanwhile, deep inside human space, plans unfolded. Earth did not speak. To the galaxy, they only worked in silence. Shipyards burned with light day and night. Engines roared as fleets took shape. Weapons once hidden were brought to the surface. All under a vow of secrecy, but the council could not see this. All they saw was division among themselves. The great order of the stars was faltering. And at the center of the storm stood humanity, calm, waiting, like a storm gathering behind silent skies. On the final day of the council session, the chair raised his staff once more. "This matter is unresolved. We will watch humanity. We will wait." But his voice carried no strength. Asterisk for all knew the council had already fractured, and as the session closed, a single message leaked from human space. No one knew if it was real or a trick, but the words spread like fire across the stars. Earth walks its own path. Those who wish to follow, follow. Those who wish to fight, prepare. Universe held its breath. For it was no longer a question of if chaos would come, but when. Chaos ignites silence of human space was heavy. From the outside, it looked calm, but to the galaxy, it felt like a storm waiting to break. Council fleets watched the borders. Merchants whispered of danger. Pirates licked their lips. Then the cracks began. Without human patrols, the border lanes turned wild. Pirates who once feared human warships now struck convoys. Planets that relied on human escorts found themselves naked to raiders. Ships burned, colonies screamed, the order of the stars started to unravel. In the council chamber, fingers pointed in every direction. "It is the fault of the insect clans," shouted one. "No, the scaled lords feed the pirates." Another accused, but no one spoke of the truth. It was not pirates or lords that caused the collapse. It was the absence of humanity. For centuries, human fleets had quietly guarded trade. Their stubborn patrols had kept lanes open. Their stubborn marines had broken pirate nests, but the council never admitted it. Until now, when those fleets were gone, the galaxy felt the weight of their absence. Minor empires turned restless. Without human stability, they began claiming territory. Old rivalries rose from the ashes. Ancient enemies who had been forced to sit quietly by council law now lifted weapons. The peace of 1,000 years cracked like glass under a hammer, and still humanity remained silent. Their borders sealed, their ships unseen, not a word from. Earth, not a single envoy returned, only shadows and rumors. Then whispers reached the council. Small oppressed species had begun disappearing from their assigned worlds. Whole populations vanished in the night. At first, it looked like slavery or raids, but soon patterns formed. They were not vanishing into darkness. They were moving into human space. Welcomed, hidden, protected, council spies confirmed it. Convoys of refugee ships escorted by sleek human frigates. Once enslaved miners, now building homes under Earth's flag. Once silenced voices, now swearing loyalty to humanity. Fear spread faster than light. For this was not weakness. This was strength gathering in the shadows. Earth was not alone anymore. They were building something, an alliance of the ignored and broken. Inside the council, debates turned to shouting matches. One faction demanded war before humanity grew too strong. Another warned that striking now could unleash a disaster even greater. Every day wasted in argument meant more chaos outside and more species drifting into Earth's orbit in the border. Sectors, the truth became impossible to ignore. Entire trade routes collapsed. Council patrols stretched thin. Smugglers and pirates grew rich. And through it all, humanity moved like ghosts. Never striking openly, never announcing their plans, but everywhere their hand could be felt. Then came the first true spark. A council fleet of 300 warships entered a former human sector. They claimed it was to restore order, but what they found was silence. Stations stripped bare, planets evacuated, and then, without warning, the entire fleet vanished. Scouts searched for weeks. Wreckage was never found, only fragments of transmissions. Screams, flashes of fire, then nothing. Terror filled the council. Some believed pirates destroyed the fleet. Others whispered that humans had unleashed new weapons, weapons that bent the stars themselves. But no answer was ever found. In the void of truth, rumors grew. Stories of human ships with armor that turned light aside. Stories of weapons that could silence fleets without firing a shot. Stories of humans who had learned to fight, not with numbers, but with something far deadlier. The galaxy trembled. The council tried to cover the loss, but merchants knew, traders knew, and soon everyone knew. The council was no longer the hand that held the galaxy together. It was a hand trembling with fear, and humanity, still silent, watched it all unfold. Their silence became more terrifying than words. For silence could mean anything. Silence could mean a storm waiting to strike. Silence could mean a knife already pressed against the galaxy's throat. One refugee captain who escaped the border whispered it best. The council thought humans needed them, but it was the other way around. We needed the humans, and now they have left us. We are nothing but prey. And yet, in hidden corners of space, others spoke different words, words of hope, words of freedom. The humans have not abandoned us. They are building something new, and when it rises, we will rise with them. Chaos had ignited. The council no longer ruled the stars, and in the darkness, Earth lit a fire that would either save or consume the galaxy. The first strike, 770 words. The council could no longer sit in silence. 3 fleets gone missing, trade routes in ruins, border worlds screaming for protection. If they did nothing, the galaxy would tear itself apart. So they chose to act. A grand armada was assembled, 500 warships from the strongest empires. A show of power meant to crush fear and remind the galaxy that the council still ruled. They would enter human space, reclaim the abandoned sectors, and drag Earth back into obedience. The order was given, and the fleets crossed the line. But what they found was not what they expected. The first worlds they reached were empty. Cities stripped, fields left bare, stations abandoned like ghosts. Humanity had removed everything of value. Only silence and ruins remained. The admirals mocked. The humans. See how they run, one laughed. They are too weak to face us. Another sneered. But beneath their laughter was unease, for even the ruins felt deliberate, as if left behind as bait. On the 3rd week of their march, the fleet entered. A dark system, a dead star, no colonies, no signs of life. Scouts reported nothing unusual. The armada settled to refuel and reorganize, and the shadows moved. From the void, shapes emerged, sleek, angular, covered in black armor that bent the light. Human warships, but not the ones the council remembered. These were different, larger, faster, sharper, built for silence and death. Before the admirals could issue orders, the first strike came. A ripple of energy cut across the darkness. Not a beam, not a missile, but something new. Ships simply went dark, their engines dead, their weapons silent, crews screened as systems. Shut down, and then the human warships finished them, striking with precision, never wasting a shot. Council vessels burned one by one. Panic tore through the armada. Their weapons locked, their shields collapsed. Orders turned into screams, formations. Shattered. The humans fought like hunters, appearing from shadows, striking, then vanishing again, their movements too fast, too calculated. A single broadcast filled every council ship. The voice was human, calm, and steady. You cross into our space without invitation. You claim to bring order, but you bring only chains. This is our warning. Leave now or be erased. The admirals refused to believe it. They rallied what ships remained, but as they advanced, the stars themselves seemed to turn against them. Minds hidden in the void tore through their ranks. Gravity wells dragged ships off course. Ambush after ambush shattered their pride. Within hours, half the armada was gone. The survivors fled in chaos. Some never made it out. Others limped back with broken hulls and broken spirits. The galaxy had its answer. The council was not invincible, and humanity was no longer the weak newcomer. They were predators now, and they had bared their teeth. When news of the slaughter reached the chamber, silence fell heavier than stone. No one laughed this time. No one mocked. Instead, they whispered of the voice that warned them before destroying their fleets, the voice that sounded not angry, but certain, as if humanity already knew how this would end. Outside the council, chaos spread further. Pirates now feared human space more than council patrols. Smaller species flocked to Earth's banner. They saw not destruction, but protection. The humans defended them where the council had only taxed and ignored. The balance of the galaxy tilted. The council tried to hide the truth. They called the battle an accident, a tragedy of faulty equipment. But survivors told another story. Stories of human ships that moved like shadows. Stories of weapons that crippled fleets without firing a shot. Stories of a warning given and ignored. Fear spread, but so did hope, for every empire that trembled. A dozen smaller worlds whispered of freedom, freedom that came not from the Council, but from Earth. In the dark halls of human command, the leaders watched silently. They had shown only a fraction of their strength, just enough to send a message. The first strike was not the end, it was the beginning. And as the Council scrambled to hold the galaxy together, another message slipped into the stars, broadcast across hidden channels, carried on waves no Council scanner could block. Age of dependence is over. The Council's order is broken. A new path begins. Those who seek freedom, stand with us. Those who seek chains, stand against us. The galaxy shivered. For the first strike had not only destroyed ships, it had destroyed the illusion that the Council could not be challenged. Humanity had spoken, and the universe would never be the same again. The new Order Council chamber stood half empty. Once it had been filled with voices of pride and authority. Now it echoed with silence and fear. Many seats were abandoned. Their owners fled to protect their own borders. Others had sworn secret pacts with Earth, and those who remained argued without end. Outside, the galaxy burned. Trade collapsed. Old rivalries became wars. Worlds that once obeyed Council law declared independence. Pirates became kings. Minor empires rose and fell in months. And in the center of the storm, humanity stood unbroken. The first strike had changed everything. Council fleets no longer dared cross human borders. Refugees poured into human space. Scientists, engineers, farmers, miners, entire peoples once ignored now found homes under Earth's flag. In return, they offered skills, ships, and loyalty. Piece by piece, a new alliance formed, not built on fear, but on survival and respect. In the void between stars, human shipyards grew brighter. Colossal frames of warships took shape, each one larger and stronger than before. But beside them, stations rose not for war, but for trade. Markets where dozens of species exchanged freely. Voices that had never been heard in the Council now had seats among humanity's assembly. For the first time, small nations felt equal. For the first time, they saw a path beyond Council chains. And so they swore allegiance. Not to empire, not to conquest, but to freedom under the banner of Earth. The Council called them rebels. The Council called them traitors. But their words carried no weight anymore. Their fleets were broken. Their unity shattered. Their threats ignored. Desperate, the Council launched one final attempt. A coalition fleet larger than any in history. Nearly 1,000 ships gathered to strike at the heart of human space, to crush Earth before the new alliance could spread further. But humanity was ready. They did not meet the fleet with numbers. They met it with precision. Star-bending weapons, hidden fortresses, gravity traps, technology the Council had never seen, and allies who fought with a fury born of centuries of pain. The battle was not long. Council ships fell by the hundreds. Alliances within the fleet cracked. Many surrendered. Others fled. When the smoke cleared, the largest armada in galactic history had been reduced to drifting wrecks. And from the silence that followed came a broadcast. It was sent across every channel, every frequency, every corner of the galaxy. A human voice once again, calm and steady. The Council has failed. Their order is gone. From this day, no world shall be forced to kneel. From this day, all species may stand free. Humanity does not rule. Humanity stands with those who wish to rise. This is the new order. Those who choose chains may cling to the Council. Those who choose freedom walk with us. The words struck like lightning. World after world declared independence from the Council. Some openly joined humanity. Others watched in silence. But all knew the truth. The balance of the universe had shifted. In the ashes of the Council's throne, a new alliance grew, not perfect, not without struggle, but different. An alliance where humans fought not only for themselves, but for all who had been silenced, where the weak had voices, where the forgotten had shields, and where the arrogant finally felt fear. In time, the Council became a shadow, its name remembered only as a warning of what arrogance created and what silence destroyed. The universe did not collapse into darkness. It reshaped itself, and at the center of it all was Earth. The species once mocked as reckless children, now the architects of a new dawn. Humanity had not wanted chaos, but they embraced it. They had not wanted war, but they mastered it. And when the galaxy tried to chain them, they broke the chains and lit a fire that could not be put out. And so the universe learned a lesson carved into history forever. Never mistake humanity's patience for weakness. Never mistake their silence for surrender. For when Earth rises, the stars themselves must bend. The Council was gone. The old order was dead. And in its place, under banners of Earth and her allies, a new order ruled the galaxy. An order born not of fear, but of defiance. An order that would shape the stars for ages to come. The humans had walked away from the Council, and the universe had fallen into chaos. But from that chaos, humanity had forged a future, and the future belonged to them, asterisk,